Hello, everybody, and welcome to this stream edition. It is yours truly, KFan701. Now, I do apologize if I've not been kind of active for the last couple of days. I mean, the last stream that I did was very tragic and a bit depressing after the passing of WWE legend Scott Hall, who died after being taken off life support, which was a very struggling time to get through and to process. It was a dark time at that point. But, as they always say, there is always, a silver lightning at the end of every cloud, you know. And to be very, very honest, guys, it really is, that truthful. I really have come to grips with a lot of things that's going on around us at the moment because of the personal struggles around the world at this point. There's more changes going on as this entire year is just, progressing inch by inch, you know, and to be honest, we cannot predict where we're going to go, but I do think we can come to a positive conclusion, and I think that's where we might, be able to head up to. Oh, hi there, CLCSCT. Nice to see you, old friend. How are you coping? It's good to see you. Either ways, guys, like I said, regardless of that and other stuff that's been recently going on, I will happily say that, that I've actually see something going on in the Thomas community right now at this point. For the last couple of weeks, actually, I've taken some notice apparently that in the recent weeks, despite everything actually, that's been going on with, despite the drama and despite, the fallouts of certain members who had to leave and despite some other people who in the community and memberships had to go against one another and the clashing between friendships and trust, which I am aware of. I will have to say though, recently I've seen some tremendous content and very unique creativity that's recently been going on with certain people who are basically doing this to turn the tide around to try and make the community a lot more better and a more positive place to be a part of. And as some of you might remember, a lot of us were hoping and if not praying for the fandom to be repaired and that we can all progress and start a new chapter in it, because as we know for the last couple of years, even before 2020 and onwards, the fandom has suffered a lot of toxic and a lot of drama and a lot of great people who were once those who helped found it have turned away and given up their good lives and become such horrible people, and I'm not going to go too much to depth it because, it is quite emotional and distressing to say, and I don't really want to get into that because it's all too familiar to a lot of you guys. Because either ways, I will have to say, I can actually see from this point on, as we progress in 2022, there's a slow positive change going on in the fandom. And with the recent creative and content that I'm seeing from some fans and some newer ones, and some people who are making cool stories like ghost stories, like Tate the Wandering Coach, for example, and the everlasting enjoyment of recreations of Sodor Fallouts and other darker Thomas stories that are a little bit extreme but have unique storytelling, and so many what if scenarios. Like some people even do like alternative timelines, which has become quite a big thing recently in the fandom, which I think a lot of us tend to like a lot. The whole what if scenario, like what if this had been changed, like I'll give you one example. Like what if Henry was never a mixture between an LNERA1 and a CI1 Atlantic, and he was just basically just an Atlantic to begin with, and he never had his troubles. Like I'll take that for example. Or say like this might sound a little extreme to say as well, but like what if Thomas never had his branch line? Like what if the mix up never happened? Anything like what could have happened in the timelines of the Railway series, and of course so many cool things that we could all do to make our creativity and our imaginations go to lengths we never thought we could do that could be so entertaining. And with some great stories that we're seeing, like some of the members in the fandom are going to such incredible detailed lengths to tell such tremendous stories that sound nearly real. You know, like in recent times, it's still amazing as it is, but like I said, there are other guys who are bringing some new content to the table to really go that extra mile to show just what amazing storytelling they can actually tell, whether it's just for entertainment wise or something to learn from with history and the reality, or even go into that crazy, darker variation of telling some good stories but that can still be thrilling at the same time. Now again, guys, like I said, I mean, there's been so much stuff going on. Like I've been so caught up with a lot of reality stuff outside, to keep track of what's been going on recently. Because, you know, I have to say though, it's been tremendous. What I am seeing is like there are some great guys out there in the fandom who I don't know of yet, who I have yet to know of, are doing superb. Like I mean, I can see it in the trains community, which is where I think most of the success is coming from. But I do like the idea of many people doing reenactments of great stories that are just freshly done, and it shows what we're visioning. I mean, we always see the illustrations of certain people who write some good background covers and they put the title of what it is, and then we try and vision in our head what it looks like. And when you have people who are actually using trains regardless of what version it is, they bring it to life, and I have to say it's really fantastic. I mean, some of it even surpasses to what I'm actually visioning with what I read, you know and I really do love that. That's actually one of the best things in the fandom to this day that is still steaming on strongly. And that's why I think a lot of the strength and the positives of the community really shines beautifully. Now, I know I'm saying some heavy words there, but this is just me trying to say the positives of what I think is coming out of the fandom right now, which is what we kind of lost in the last couple of years. And I think we're slowly getting it back. So, like I said, I really am keen to see what else we're gonna see. Like any more, we've got Horrors on the Rails coming back, for a fourth season of Ghost Stories, which I am so excited to look forward to seeing because that's one of the best things I've ever seen. And telling it's almost like telling untold stories that we never got to hear from the actual TVS or Railway series canon, and it kind of fleshes out the stories that we never got to hear. You know, And of course, with Ward Northwester doing tremendous with his final mini series, which are absolutely fantastic. I advise any of you guys who have not seen it, go and check it out. And of course, Victor Tanzik is just doing tremendous with his new series. And of course, I am pleased to say like he's come such a long way, and he's had a very good fan base. And again, his creativity and his tremendous storytelling with reality in a way is something that very few of us are trying to achieve in telling newer ways of telling Thomas and Friends on a much more mature and reality scale that kind of fits into what we're seeing in today's time. Whereas all the glory days or the fun days when we were growing up kind of faded off into time, you kind of have to look and see the reality of the current timeline of where we're in now and where we guys in real life are. It's like a new way of kind of connecting who we are, even though most of us don't know us, in terms of who we are as people, but we can relate to one another, you know. And I think in a strange way, we're trying to make our own canons and our own, storytellings of what we'd like to tell. And I think it's. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, hey, it's nice to see you. I didn't see you there. If you want my opinions about the stories of Sodor, I have to say, I will admit saying this, I didn't take too much notice during 2017 when he started doing this, because at the time I was a bit unsure of what Victor was doing. But gradually over time, it was actually quite intriguing, a mixed match of tugs and the TTT series. But eventually, it kind of just got hooked, and what can I say? The rest is history. I absolutely enjoyed it, and I still do. Again, like I said, I mean, there's just so much going on, regardless of the current, you know, regarding of the current stature of the actual Thomas series, which many of us are too tempted to not watch, but at the same time, we have to kind of accept that this is where they're going with it. But at least it's not actual canon to what we grew up with, which is the saving grace of the reboots, okay? That's all I will say. Again, like I said, we've seen a lot of great storytelling from some of the legends of the fandom, like NWR 1991, Wild and Wester, Shunter Productions, just to name a few. They're still telling tremendous stories that feel real and in the timelines of where we are now. I mean, even when we go back into the past of certain untold stories that we never got to see in the books or even in the television series, that's where the fandom really shines tremendously, and that's the beauty of what I like about the fandom ever since. Okay, Hayes, I can see what you're saying there, dude. Just calm down a little bit. I think the greatest thing, mostly, despite what we're seeing with the Thomas Trains community and everything else, is that the fanfics that I can tend to see are even greater as well. I've seen them everywhere I go. I watch them on the fanfic net. I even see some people who do remakes, which is what a lot of us first guys tend to do when we try and make our own train series, which is natural to get more experience. The only thing I will say is that I still don't approve the fandom is basically got people who basically, like, I know this is going to sound like I'm going off topic here again, but I don't like the idea of the people that who tend to like what we do, but they don't end up like giving us the real credit that we so rightfully deserve. Guys like Victor Tanzik and myself, and even like, I don't know, like, take Brandon for instance, and even certain other users who are trying to tell fresh stories and try and do the best that they can to try and tell something new or try and blend something in their own life into the universe to help educate people. And there are just some who just come in and just ruin it and don't give us the right credit that we so rightfully deserve. Or some of us are you know, unappreciated so cruelly that a lot of us tend to think we're being overlooked and underrated. And I think, that is quite a shame because there are just some who don't respect the time and the effort that we sometimes put into projects that we do, which can take over a year, sometimes a couple of months, or even, I dare say, 2 years or even more. Because, it's not that easy. You know, it takes a long time to do the writing. Sometimes it can take forever to do a short. You know, it's never that easy. And a lot of people just think, it's, the smarks, the ones who think they know everything, don't quite get the full reality of what they're actually seeing. And I have to be honest, it really is, disappointing for some of them who have gone down the terrible road, and some have left the fandom, and some have their reasons to do so, which I can understand. Even I tended to do that. I mean, I've left the fandom, well, not like the actual fandom itself, because the toxic side of it is why I left, because I didn't want to blend with that sort of thing. Because honestly, what's good in mixing with toxic people in the fandom who think that you can trust, those who will use you and then they end up taking stuff behind your back and then they end up just talking a whole lot of rubbish that kind of makes us look bad, as if we were never talented creators to begin with. But at the same time, there are those who are willing to see what we can do, and they give their own opinions, their own criticism, and some will give you advice. And that's what the fandom tends to do as well. There are some good people that we can trust, those who can actually, talk and hang with and kind of just like try and see where we can go, try and take the fandoms in new directions for the good reasons and not for the bad. But like I said, in recent weeks, since March and into the current month that we're in now, in April, I do think that, we're starting to see a shift in a positive way. There's a good change on the way for the fandom, and I think we're going about this the right way, and I actually will be happy to say I will pledge my support for that. And honestly, I think we're going to see something really cool happening as this year progresses, and who knows, we might get newer members joining in, we might find newer fans who have grown up the way that we did. But to be very, very honest, you know, we can never go back to the fun times that we once knew of. You know, like the darker days of Thomas that we knew, like the whole thing with Timothy and 311 and all that kind of stuff back in those days, back in the peak glory darker era of the Thomas fandom. Like that lasted for a good time. But as you know, a new era has to come and the old one has to pass, which is something I felt like I need to do after, you know, after my reasons afterwards, which I'm not going to get into. But like I said, I think this whole retelling of what we're going to do and try and find new ways to keep going, I think is something I am very, very intrigued to seeing what's going to happen. But like I said, I mean, the dark era that I was a part of, it lasted for as long as it did. I mean, there was no telling how long it was going to be, but at least it was something. It was a a cool way, like something cool to experience. What's very funny about it is that a lot of people, there were actually a couple of people who have said about me saying that I was the one who changed the Thomas fandom in a good way. Maybe it was intentional, or maybe that was the unintentional, you know, or who knows? Maybe if that was the whole thing, maybe it happened, then I guess that was a cool thing to do. I mean, I didn't want to, if I was to change, I wouldn't do it for the wrong reasons. I mean, if that was the case of doing it for good reason, then maybe that was, a blessing in disguise. Who knows? If we can go back to 2014 when it all started. Oh, Lord. Hayes, I don't think we should ever mention that. No, it had nothing to do with Shed 17. That was kind of a mixture of like those going to the extreme darker limits. But look at Sodor Fallout. I mean, that even kind of tops it up a little bit. Or even some of the other, even some of the other Thomas series I'm seeing, which are absolutely uncanon and a bit extreme, that are related to Sodor Fallout in a way. But like I said, there are still some good stories that we know of that are still awesome to know. And I mean, like I said, it's just one of those things that we can't always go back to. But at the same time, I think there's a new era. Like there's different eras that are evolving as we speak. There are those who go to the extreme Thomas storytelling era, which goes into crazy mode of telling some amazing stories that seem just insane, but are absolutely awesome to see. And then you have like the darker storytelling, like Timothy and 311, which is an American canon thing, but kind of meshed its way into the Thomas universe. And you have like Sodor Dark Realm. That's the other one I was referring to. That's another extreme one, which is quite cool. Which I thought was a bit crazy batshit, to be honest. But I have found that one very intriguing to see how that played out. And then you have like Sodor Dark Times, which has evolved for so long. There's different variations of the title, but still go in that same direction. Because we have to be honest, not everything on Sodor was peaceful and cheerful and friendly as we would like to think. It's like uncovering the darker layers of the railway, just like we do in real life. You're going to have times of peace, times of love, friendship, and caring, but then there are times where a dark shadow is cast upon us, where friendships can be fallen out, bloodshed and war can come out of nowhere, and then you have like these crazy things that can happen in our lives. And this is what's been happening in the Thomas universe, and people like to tell those type of things because it's a newer way of entertaining, but in a much different way. Like, take the Wandering Coach, for instance. That was like based on the early years, and then you had like a very dark, twisted story that happened, and even that storytelling sounds almost realistic in a strange way. It's become so quickly popular, and I have to say, it's actually one of the best Thomas ghost stories I've ever seen. It's definitely up there. um, so, like I said, I mean, I think that is the beginning. I think the Wandering Coach is the beginning start of it. And what else is there? What else should I say? I will say there's going to be so much greatness that's going to happen, and I do have high hopes that the fandom is going to enter a new period of a positive era. And of course, wow, let's just say, let's just see what happens as the time progresses. Okay. And let's just say, I mean, regardless of our OCs getting involved, that just makes it all awesome because it gives us background characters more screen time, and there are sometimes we can make stories about ourselves as engines, and sometimes we can actually intertwine our reality life. But at the same time, that's where some of you know the controversies surrounding the fandom with creativity, because we can only go so far to the point where we have to reach our limit. But then again, you got to give the creative creators in the fandom every credit that they can deserve to try and tell newer ways. And I think, for those who don't get the right recognition and the credit that they deserve, is really it is disappointing because there are some who put their time and effort in, and it should be appreciated, regardless of who we are as people. You know, take one certain individual who I'm not going to mention because it created controversy the last time. Like, he did a grand series despite how bad he was of a human being, but he did tremendously well in trying to tell what he was trying to tell. It's just the fandom and the haters just all slaughtered and just basically cannibalized what he did. I'm not you guys know what I'm referring to, but the whole thing with Alfred, regarding who he was in Sodor, and then the changing happened, and then the third movie that kind of wrecked it all, but still had a good story to tell, but just didn't come off as well as a piece of cake, shall we say. But any cases, though, there are others out there that can do even better. Like, Brandon still makes amazing short stories that he can do, but then again, he has a very unique creative mindset that I'm not going to judge him for, because what he creates is what he does, and that's just him. Victor Townsend continues to do amazing episodes that he can do, and I still can't wait to see what he's going to do afterwards, because I'm so looking forward to the next series that we're going to get. And to be honest, it always excites me because you never know exactly what he's going to do. I dare even go and say I think he's probably the best creator on the Thomas fandom of this modern time. I even say this with a heavy heart, but I think he surpasses me in terms of creative and telling stories. I know that's a big thing to swallow, but I'm saying that because I'm giving him credit, because he's an inspiration, he's very talented, and he's been blessed with it. Regardless of what people might think of him and the haters who are just not giving him the respect that he so rightly deserves, he's a one of a kind man. He really is. I gotta say, regardless of what will happen afterwards, where does the future of us in the fandom come in? Well, that remains unknown at the moment, but I do think the future is no longer bleak anymore, because I did say at one time the future for the Thomas fandom was bleak, because a couple of years back or so, I think it was last year or something like that, the future looked very, very bleak. But it does seem now that that current bleakness has kind of shifted away, and I think we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think there's going to be a positive outcome that will begin a new era for the fandom, where we can all be just happy again and just enjoy what the creative content and the people who have it, show what they can do, you know? And I do think we've got some people out there, besides Victor and Brandon and others, who can do that. I can sense it, I feel it, and I'm actually, looking forward to it. And I'm pretty sure you guys are as well. And with that being said, that's this small little talk about the slow positive change in the Thomas community. I hope you all guys have enjoyed this. I might catch you up a bit later on. Who knows when? But I can tell you I'm definitely going to be more busy this month, because I have a exciting event to go to in about 23 days, because I'll be gone for a couple of days afterwards. I'll be reunited with an old friend who will be celebrating 10 years with me. And, because that's how long we've been. And of course, it's going to be fantastic. I really am looking forward to seeing, how this will all, you know, progress forward. Like I said, I know you guys are feeling the same as I am right now, but I definitely am among the many with a high hope and a heavy heart that there's a good, slow, positive change unfolding right now in the Thomas community, because I've seen a lot of people talk and get together, share our thoughts and creatives and theories and whatnot. It does seem that the tension, the drama, and many things that was pulling us apart for the last couple of years, it does seem to be subsiding big time. Hey, I like what you just said there. Scooter Kang, I like that. Well, I wouldn't say we wouldn't vote Victor Tanzik for president, but maybe for the Thomas community? Possibly so. Possibly so. That could work. I'm not so sure if he would actually agree on that, but if anybody can say that to him, I'm pretty sure he might appreciate that. Hmm. As you said, Hayes, yeah, the dark era from 2014 to 2017 definitely was a cool time, but there were others besides myself, you know. I will have to say though, it was a cool time where we tried something new. And it still is going on today, but we're just trying to tone it down a little bit. But what I will say, I think 2022 is definitely going to be a much more positive era. Perhaps a new era is actually coming out this year with the fandom, because I do see less tension. There's more people talking and helping and trying to make some good content to make it kind of like it was before the whole downward spiral, you know. So let's keep our fingers crossed and keep our hopes up high. And with that being said, this is Kane Fan 701. Thank you guys for tuning in on this little stream update. I'd like to let you guys know, because I haven't been very active as much, but at the same time, thanks for tuning in. We might come on again another time. But, keep our faith in the fandom. Hopefully everything will turn out, peacefully and positively in the end, and we can progress forward on as 2022 goes on. Thanks for that, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you later. Peace, guys.